In the first place, my answer to your question may be surprising to you. Because Nigeria was not designed to be so much somewhere by those who originated the issue. The collapsing of that laboriously packaged country called Nigeria was not as a result of the 1940 amalgamation, which made the 100-year celebration, which Goodluck Jonathan did, became a landmark. No. Neither was it the making of 1960, when a flag was lowered and another flag was hoisted. No. What made Nigeria what it is today were matters that started, first of all, in the year 1552. 1552, when the first person from what you would call the United Kingdom visited this country. That's number one. Number two, the first Europeans to come into this country was in 1472. They came via maritime activities at the Accord in Forcados, and they are the Portuguese. They limited their exploitation to the Bat of Benin and Bat of Biafra. But by 1552, the first person to come from what we will now call the United Kingdom, which is, of course, arrived Lagos. That was when the seed of what Nigeria will become was sown. And the sower and whoever that watered it, they had their own agenda. I cannot therefore explain when their agenda tallied with the agenda of those who will inherit this area of the Niger, as Flora put it. Don't forget, Flora, that lady journalist from the Times, who later got married to Lord Lugard, who was just posted here after losing his marriage. He arrived here and he saw that fine girl, and it was the girl who said, this area of the Niger, which Nigeria is. Then I come to tell you, far from before 1960, before 1914, the issues that will bedevil this area of the world had been properly laid as foundation. So the Bible says if the foundation is faulty, what can the righteous do? So unless we are ready to go down and break that foundation and come unanimously together and tell ourselves the basic truth, Nigeria shall be fumbling and wobbling, in the language of our late coach, Amu, when he said the Eagles will fumble and wobble to the final. You will remember his quote. Which they did. So in the arena of fumbling and wobbling, you will not see too much of success. If you have a child who is always fumbling and wobbling, learning to sit down, fumbling and wobbling when crying, fumbling and wobbling when walking about, you have a problem as a parent. But then, maybe I will stop here now. In 1861, the British trader or traders that were here, they came here for trading, for business, for economy. Now saw the need that the ecozone were not properly responding to taxation and payment of their dues. And they wanted these people first. Please follow this. This is the beginning of the whole problem. I'm talking to you now in 1861. Then, how would they coerce these people? And the militancy of the people within the eco-region, including Ekpe, was much. They would never want to hear the word pay tax, because they believed, they translated it, Owori, that is paying for my head, which did not go down well with them. So what happened? It was in 1861 that the person administering this area, including some other West Coast area, now made an application back home to the White House to give permission to recruit police, so that the police will work to subdue, and the recommendation was so tactical. They made recommendation that give us permission to recruit 30 men. We will recruit the 30 men from the aborigines or from the indigenous. We will train them in such a way that they will go out to brutalize their people, to subdue them into the payment of taxation. We have all these documents. Now, they give them the permit. And the report that was given, showed that the people performed well. The 30 people recruited from among their went out to brutalize their brother. That was the beginning of the police force. But it was not called Nigeria Police then. It was instead called Consular Constabulary. Then after 2 years of performances, if you go to the Ekpe zone today, and please go with somebody you know. If you want, I can take you there to show you an example of what was afflicted on the people. The marks are still there till today. They paid their tax immediately, they were subdued. It was because they must not. There is this popular song. Let me make this clear. Let me put it on record today. There's this popular song in this Lagos area. Awa oni sowo oni bodi odile. Meaning, we will not pay tariff until we go back home. Go back home is a debt. It was out of that one flow the other one that bí wọ́n ṣe kéré money wọn, àwo ni wọ́n o. So this was the beginning. And when they now wrote congratulating the boss who gave them the permission, they now attached report how creditably these 30 men performed. And the report was how they brutalized their own brothers and sisters and subdued them. For that reason, they demanded for increase from 30 men to 100 men. And this was now 1883. Now, the permission was granted immediately because the report that they did were, meaning the economy of the British now will be encouragingly coming from this zone. And they now allowed them to increase. Then it was at that point that the twist that will be devil Nigeria into when God knows came up into the show. They granted them the permission to increase from 30 men to 100 men. But immediately the permission arrived, what happened? The man who got the permission, who recruited the first 30 from the Lagos area here, and called the Consular Constabulary, now decided to travel up Nigeria to that area that we now call Northern Nigeria today, to recruit the 70 add, they will add 70 to the 30 to make for the, and recruited them from what we call the Hausa people. And when, on arriving in Lagos, they brought them into Lagos for training. They changed the name. He's the British man. He changed the name from Constabulary to Hausa Constabulary. Wow. In 1863. The fraud that is to make up the country called Nigeria started then. But don't forget, I told you earlier on, the first visitation of that British man into Nigeria zone, into this zone, was in 1552. The damage he caused, I have not been able to assess that historical background today. But what I can say to you that in the recruitment of those that were stabilized, so to say, and it took time before the name transformed from Hausa Constabulary, when Nigeria had come, to become Nigeria Police Force. Have you ever noticed that we have Nigerian Army, we have the Nigerian Air Force, we have the Nigerian Navy, but we have Nigeria Police Force, meaning the police does not belong to the people. It's for Nigeria. The police is for the institution. And as it were, the institution then was the representation of the British government. So they are not your people. So they cannot be. This is the twist in the beginning. Then the question is 1940 amalgamation. What led to the amalgamation? In 2014, just a few years back, 2012, I was in the UK. I was time enough to be invited into a lecture being given in Nigeria House. And the lecturer, a very old man, now gave the reasons why the amalgamation was horrid. In 1911, the balance sheet of economic transaction of Southern Nigeria Protectorate came with surplus. The balance sheet of economic transaction of the North came with deficit, first 300 pounds. So they took from the excess of the South to add that 300 pounds. But in the year 1912, the deficit from the North had decreased to 700 pounds. They took from the surplus of the South economic train to complete that balance. Then in the year 1913, the deficit from the North had moved to 1,700 pounds. Then the amalgamation took place in 1914. The question I have been asked, we know those who proposed it. What was the age of Herbert Macaulay in 1914? What was the age of Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe in 1914? What was the age of Chief Obafemi Awolowo, Jeremiah Obafemi Awolowo in 1914? What was the age of the Sardauna Sokoto in 1914? What these people prominently participated was the independence. When Attorney Nahoro, one of the youngest, moved the motion. When Sardauna Sokoto said no, because Azikiwe said, let us forget our differences and move ahead. But Sardauna Sokoto said no, and I supported that idea. He said, let us identify and know our differences. They resolved to live together. But don't let us forget them. This way. Now in 1914, who are those who signed for you on this side of the bargain? Nigeria was negotiated into being by prominently outsiders. Which was that insider that was involved in signing the whole document? So when you hear the language that the only thing that is not to be negotiated is the non-visibility of the word is taken out of the zone, don't touch it, it's not negotiable, it's a fallacy of greatest order. Because Nigeria was negotiated into being by foreigners on our behalf. And we are bearing the crunch today. So the foundation laid was a fraudulent foundation, which makes things difficult. So the children of that bet, they are growing to be accustomed to what was not the reality. When those who came to do the deal on our behalf, they did the deal on our behalf, they came to do the deal, and they were not taking you to, and they were not telling you the truth of what happened. It's very, very possible. It's very, very possible, my brother. Very, very possible. But then, there is a proverb in Yoruba language. I wouldn't know how to translate it. It says that the very day a madman knows that he's mad, that is the beginning of his cure. The Nigerians that will move to change this fundamental flaw, have they come to realize that the time for us to move to change this is now? But instead, since that 1914 to 1960, till the moment, we kept building on falsehood. We kept building on fraud. We fraudulently keep building on falsehood.
So is 79 years not enough for a people who think things should be done the right way to actually realize that?
Of course. That is the people that have come to realize we are not doing well now. Let us sit together and think of how we can do well. Then there must be homogeneity. There must be unification. There must be trust. But this we are taken away from the package handed over to us as Nigeria by the white man. So that perpetually and permanently they will be the godfather, because what they gave to us were broken walls. Then, as we are passing and we are quarreling ourselves, we are the one that caused this, they will come back to say, no, you don't have to. They want to remain the godfather. The wealth is taken away where? It's taken away there. The economics that started, when you talk of Nigeria stealing, where do they keep the money? Do they keep it in Nigeria? Then, with due respect to the memory of F.R.E. Williams, Timmy DeLaw, Frederick Williams, he criticized this 1999 Constitution. This 1999 Constitution is nothing but a fraudulent document. It doesn't matter how many times we amend it. He said the preamble is nothing but fraud. We, people of Nigeria, at no time that people of Nigeria sat down to produce that document. 25 boys, all mostly military, boys under the regime or administration of Abdul Salam Abubakar. All uniform, wear starch uniform, wear sat down and produced this document. But the preamble tells you that we, people of Nigeria, that is where the late Timmy DeLaw said that is fraud. So that the document called 1999 Nigeria Constitution is a fraudulent document. From when I spoke of the fraudulent manipulation or maneuvering into the Nigeria, or into this area, this zone, from the first visit of 1552 to 1861, the recruitment of people to help us, to how increase for the recruitment of that men from 30 to 100 men were granted, not from here, but from over the sea. And the people were recruited, and the name suddenly changed from Consular Constabulary to Hausa Constabulary. Have you interrogated all these sequences? That was the beginning of the problem of what had bedeviled us now, and what may still bedevil us until a few days ago. Of course, we have come this far as a country. We must thank God for that. We are still standing as one Nigeria. But is the enterprise called Nigeria working? No, it is not working. Because even if you look at that document, the 1999 Constitution, as amended or not amended or to be amended, my dear, the truth remains that the fraud that was there will keep on bedeviling us until we are able to sit together and say, let us agree that we have not done well. We ought to have been more than this by now. And if you want to question this, please go to Rwanda, that just survived from a Holocaust a few days ago, and see what is happening in that country now. That country is becoming a model. Nigerians, to be led by the military leaders, owe Aguiyi-Ironsi's apology. What accelerated the death of Aguiyi-Ironsi? It was the unification decree. Is it decree number 10 of 1966? And the name Supreme Commander was given to him, which was suspected by some region of the country that, oh, well, Aguiyi-Ironsi was killed. How many years ago now? What are we practicing today? Is this federal system of government or unitary system of government? Just a few days ago, the president said, state governors, leave my roads alone. Nothing wrong with that language. Is it the system that the state governments, the state governors, they carry cap in hand every day, crying to Abuja to beg for money to run their state? Or is it the system that the Chief Justice of Nigeria, just a few hours ago, told you that in a situation that he had to go cap in hand begging for money to run his office, that his independence is not there? You heard him. So there are a lot of things are wrong. The first thing we should do is to come back and tell ourselves we have not done well. Because Nigeria is over-blessed with resources. There is nothing wrong if Nigeria should take place of leadership in the whole world, which, of course, is my prayer. Even when I'm doing my thing on my radio show, I keep telling them that Nigeria will be great again. The very moment we know that we are terribly sick, we now look for the medical doctor that will heal us. That is why I started this conversation by telling you that the Yoruba has a proverb. The very day a madman knows that he's mad, that is the end of the sickness. If you are traveling to the Delta region, to the Western region, you will see inside the forest, pawpaw and all those things growing naturally. Nobody went to plant them. You have the rivers that made irrigation a natural gift. Which is that mineral resources we don't have? Japan has nothing like this. Hence, they buy scrap to bury it on the ground. We have that. Then we are dealt with the population. This is what China acclimatized upon, their population. And today, China export food. They don't import. But we have all these ones. Where have we ended? A beggar nation. Importing everything. Should I shock you? In the radio station a few days ago, where I was discussing my weekly show, I revealed to Nigeria that at the time, Nigeria imported a shipload of kola nut, goro, from Ivory Coast. A shipload of goro, kola nut. And there are some Nigeria that we import sand to build a house from overseas. 40-footer. And I'm bringing somebody to the studio next week who will tell us how one government organ is equally importing sand for government activities. So, my dear, the truth is that we've got it, but the mere fact that we still remain one, even after that war, should have led us, because it was the tumor that Rwanda went through between the two major tribes, that a turnaround came. But we had a man of vision that said, this is not where we're supposed to be. With this now, let us use it to build what we want to have in the future. And today, Rwanda is becoming the second neatest country in the world, next to Singapore. They maximize security because they say all they have is people visiting them. Tourism. They don't play with security. As you are being checked, you are being scanned, your vehicle coming to the airport is being scanned and everything. And look at the unity that had come. So we need it. But as long as we call ourselves the Federal Republic of Nigeria, say we are federal, and none of the units is physically a federated unit, we are practicing unitary system of government, which itself is antagonizing to each other. Which is why we owe Aguiyi-Ironsi apology. We killed Aguiyi-Ironsi because of a unification decree, is it 10 or 26 of 1966. So we must have to sit down and evaluate. But I will end up with this warning. If we arrogantly arrogate to ourselves that the unity of Nigeria is not negotiable, or we, with all humility, admit ourselves that it is negotiable, there are two countries that are ahead of us, and we have followed the path. We could be one of these or one of that. And you know the two countries? Yugoslavia, Czechoslovakia. One said, oh, the unity of this country is not negotiable, remove it, it's not. Then one said, we can negotiate it. And one negotiated and got themselves apart, and they remain brothers till today. No single soul was lost. One arrogantly say, no negotiation. As of the time the World Cup of 2004, something was coming, this fifth country that came from that place metamorphosed to the World Cup, which is Croatia. We had 5 countries, the sixth is being made, that broke out of that place. And how many millions died? So everything in life is negotiable. Nigeria was negotiated into being by foreigners. Until you tell me who signed for Nigeria in those years I enumerated. So if we agree and we say this, okay, if it is federal system of government, then we go properly federal. Because I see no reason why there should be a Ministry of Water Resources. Coming to my village to sink a borehole is a disaster. It's a colossal disaster. So if we do this, oh, Nigeria shall be great again. I'm somebody who believes in that. It definitely may not be my time. Yeah, but I wish my second generation, third generation should be able to see that greatness. And let them refer that, oh, our grandfather used to say, Nigeria will be great again.